Today I'm going to do a video on a little package I've been, well, a big package actually I've been waiting on. I got it the other day, received it, and I actually got this package from a giveaway that I had entered. It was on another trapping channel on YouTube, Jakey Crack Outdoors. He had a 1,000 subscriber giveaway, and the first prize on that giveaway was a $200 gift certificate to Epler Fur Company here in Pennsylvania. Now, Epler Fur is now owned by Matt Brophy. The gentleman originally owned the store. Him and his wife retired, and then Matt took the store over, so he's keeping the store going. And I'm glad he is, because it's pretty close to me, so it's pretty easy for me to order stuff and get equipment when I need it. I can just order it I can call him on the phone, order it, or I can order it. I can text him what I want out of his catalog. You can go onto his catalog online and pick out what you want. So him and Jakey got together and figured out a deal. And like I said, the first place prize was a $200 gift certificate for his store. So, and I won. And I was really glad that I did win. I placed an order with him. I got it real quick. He shipped it right out. What I did was I ordered a couple of other traps that I wanted. I ordered some cables that I wanted for next season. This is all going to be for next season, because my trapping season now, bar for beaver, is over. I ordered 2 starter kits, which are complete kits for somebody who's going to be starting out trapping. It's a complete starter kit for a specific species of animal, or a target type animal. And if you look on his website, he has kits laid out for pretty much anything that we could trap in this state, or in other states, of course. The kits that I got were for red fox or gray fox, but they could also catch coyote or bobcat even. I also got a kit for mink. So his kits included some tools, some dye, some wax, traps associated that you would use with those animals, and then lures and or urines that you would use with those animals. And they're really good kits. For beginner kits, they're really good. The kits were in I'm going to say around $100, give or take a little bit. You get a little bit for giving a little bit of leeway for state tax and stuff like that. They were probably just under $100, which for what you got was a really good price. I also got some, like I said, I got some cables, and I got some other traps that I wanted. But I want to thank Jakey Crack for having the giveaway. It was really good. I want to thank also Matt Brophy of Epler Fur Company. Actually, I have an old catalog here for Epler Fur, but his number has changed, phone number has changed, but the website is still the same. It's www.eplerfur, all one word. It's EPLERFUR.com. And if you go on his website, you can order whatever you want. And he's got lots of stuff to choose from. I'm going to show you now what I got in this box. Like I said, it was like Christmas. Christmas for me. I had opened it to check and make sure everything was in it. The U.S. Postal Service, sometimes you get boxes that rip open, boxes go missing. I was lucky that I got it all in one piece and everything was in it. So without further ado, here from the Fox kit here, I'll show you. Got a set of rubber gloves. They're really good texture gloves too, gripped. As you can see, they're short for predator trapping. Here are the cables that I got. Get everything out of here without getting tangled up. Some more paper here. Now, in the state of Pennsylvania, we can't use snares, only underwater. So for beaver or otter, they have to be submerged in water. These are cable restraints because they all have relaxing locks on them. Now, Matt built these. These are really nice. They're 1x19 cable. The cable's really slick. From talking to other guys that use cables and from a little bit of research that I've done on my own, apparently the 1x19 cable is a little more resilient for chewing, for when the fox or the coyote wants to chew on the cable. This stuff is pretty strong, pretty stout. As you can see, they have deer stops on them, which are a requirement for our state. They have livestock stops on them, so the trap will only, or the snare will only open so far, and then this will make it only close so far, so it won't catch a deer by the leg. Like you see, the swivels and everything, they're all pretty heavy duty, all nicely wound up, nice and tidy. They should work really good for me in the cable restraint season. Now here I can only use the cables in late season, which will be after Christmas. Usually our predator season ends at the end of February. It goes from October, the end of October, close to the end of October to the end of February. So most of our trapping after Christmas is in pretty bad weather conditions, freezing conditions, snow, stuff like that. So in that late part of the season, we are able to use these cable restraints. So those I'll have to dye up and get those ready to go. Those are really nice. They're very well made. He's got the little tubes on it for the support, cable supports and stuff. Really nice. Now to go on with the kit, we had the gloves for the Fox kit. That also came with a trowel. So this is an arrow trowel. You see the skinny head on it there. Good for digging dirt holes, good for digging trap beds. Really nice. It's a yo-ho trowel, trapping trowel. They make them all different shapes and sizes. This is, like I said, this is a real good skinny one for digging dirt holes and also for digging trap beds. That's going to work really good for that. I'll take this big bottle out here. Red Fox Urine, big nice quart bottle of that. Now the traps that came with the Fox kit, these are Duke 1 3/4. As you can see, round jaw, nice and quick. These are regular traps, they're not offset or anything like that. They have the side anchors on them. This is a really nice setup if you want to use a drag. The side anchor is really good for that. I also use it where you can actually anchor the trap outside of the bed, and that way it makes it easier to bed. So I have modified these two where you can weld D-rings on the bottom of it. You put an extra strap across the bottom and then have a D-ring on it, so if you want to anchor from the bottom, you can modify them to do that. These are not super expensive traps, but they're pretty reasonably priced and they do work, and I've caught a lot of animals with these and I've held them no problem. The springs on them are they're good and stout, they're strong. It is definitely strong enough to hold a coyote, for sure. And I'm sure these have caught thousands of coyotes across the US without any issues. Guys who seriously coyote trap would probably use bigger traps than this. This is of course intended for red fox and for gray fox, but it will catch anything that will come to that set. Bobcat, coon, fisher, red fox, gray fox, anything. It will hold anything. Like I said, the jaws are nice and strong. There are modifications you can do on them if you want to beef them up a little bit. You can make them 4-coil if you so wish. Pretty decent trap. As you can see, I have my tags on them already. I usually tag them right away. Now these traps are haven't been prepared yet. Of course, I have to dye them and then wax them. I have to degrease them. They come when you buy them fresh out of the box. They usually have oil on them so they don't rust away. They don't rust. But you gotta wash all that oil off and then prep it. But there's lots of videos on that on YouTube if you want to see it. But it came with 5 of these traps. Then that set came with 5 of those. I'll take a few of them out. Here's another one. There's another one. Ah, yeah, just like Christmas. This was better than winning the lotto. There's another one. That makes 4. There's one more in there somewhere. There it is, number 5. Here comes number 5. If we untangle it here. There we go. There's the 5th one. Like I said, I have them all tagged. Pretty much ready to get them all washed off and set up. So the kit also came with some, I have to dig in the bottom here. It also came with some logwood powder for the Fox kit, the Predator kit. So we're at the set of gloves, the Yoho Trowel, the Fox Urine, the 5 Duke traps, the 1 3/4. It came with some logwood dye, which will dye the traps black. The powder looks red when you put it in water and then boil it. The water will be like jet black, and it does a really good job. This is what I usually use to dye my traps. It came with that. And then it also came with a bar of trap wax. Now this season I am going to wax all my traps. It can be a pain in the backside, but it's worth it to stop your traps from rusting. Sometimes I haven't waxed my traps and I've just ran them. And I do run my traps with antifreeze, especially with the calcium chloride. Calcium chloride will rust metal very quickly, so I would definitely advise you to wax your traps because it will deteriorate them, and you won't get the longevity out of them that you could. So that kit also comes with some wax. It also came with some lures. I have the lures in here, but they're all mixed up. Let's see. Okay, we had Epler Fur Company Red Delight Gland Lure. We had Carmen's Canine Call, which is a distant, like a long distance call. There was a jar of Epler Fur Company Triple Slam Fox, Coyote, and Bobcat Predator bait. Looking forward to trying this. Usually I use Caven's Predator bait, and that works really good too. So we're going to give this a go this season as well. Mix it up a little bit. What else have we got here? I have Carmen's Pro's Choice for Fox, Coyote, Bobcat. That's another lure, gland lure. I think the other ones were for the mink. Yeah, the other ones were for the mink. So you've got 3 or 4 bottles of lure. You have the Predator bait and then the red Fox Urine. I think that pretty much wraps it up for the Fox. Now in the other kit I got, like I said, was the mink. But the other traps here, let me show you these. These are beauties. I had also ordered a half dozen of these bad boys. This is a Duke 550. As you can see, it's substantially larger than the 175 if I put them side by side. This is a serious trap. This is intended for predator trapping of any way, shape, or form. Fox, bobcat, coon. It will hold a coon too. Anything that steps in this is going to be held where you have it. These are basically a copy of an MB 550. I think the only difference between these and the MB 550 is I think the swivel was a little different on the chain, and then the chain link itself was a little different. Other than that, it's pretty much the same. I think this has a square pan, and then the MB 550 has a little bit more of a round pan. This pan is a little bit wider, I think, than the one that's on the MB 550. But these are great. This is a good trap. You can tell by the weight of it. If I hold it in close, you can see the jaws on it. It is an offset jaw. There's a little bit of an offset there. These are cast iron jaws, so they're really thick and they're heavy. They're also, you can see where on some of the other traps you would weld the bottom of it to ball the end of the jaw so the jaw can't pop out of the frame. These are already hooked up, you can see there, so they can't be pulled out. A lot of times if you get a big coyote or something, he's chewing on the frame, he's chewing on the jaw, he'll pull the jaw out and he'll get his foot out. These are 2 coil, as you can see if you look at the bottom of it. There's only 2 coils, but you can 4 coil them if you want to make them super strong. You can see here it uses a pit pan, which is not clipped on, it's actually mounted onto the spring. So I know it's hard to see, but the pan actually runs on the back of the spring there. You can see where it's mounted. There's no screw. Like this trap has a regular screw adjustment here for the pan right here. So there's a little screw that goes through there. Now some guys, you can adjust your pan tension with that screw. I found that more problematic with a little more time invested. I found that very problematic. You can also adjust the pan tension by bending the lever. By bending your dog here, you can change that pan tension. I like it now to have a loose pan on the screw here so the pan drops free, and then adjust my pan tension by bending the dog up. I prefer that way. That way I don't get changing pan tension if my pan rusts a little bit when it's laying in the ground. It could sit in the ground for a week. It could sit in the ground for a week and a half and not get a catch. And in that time it could rust a little bit, and I don't want it to do that. But I found that's a better way to adjust the pan tension than using that little screw. But back to the pit pan here. This is a super slick setup. It has a round, super strong stainless steel dog on it. You can see it's a round bar there. It's a big trap. The 550, it's 5.5 inch inside spread, so it has a big spread on it. I'm gonna set it and I'll show it to you. For its size, it's actually pretty easy to set. Like I said, it's super, super nice. It's night latched. There's a pan on there. You can see there's a recess in the pan. So you'll hear it now when I night latch it. There's the night latch. And you can see it's pretty level with the pan. It's a little high on this one, but it's not that far off. Look at it, almost perfect. You can see it's D-ring swiveled on the bottom, and then the chain is mounted in the center. So it's got 2 swivels on it. It's got one here, and it's got one on the base of the chain. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make chain anchors for it with super stakes on it. But you can see it fires pretty nice and quick too if I'm going to set it off here. There's almost no pan travel on it. It's just almost instant. Boom. As soon as you put any little bit of pressure on that pan, it's down. I'm really, really, really looking forward to using those. I got a half dozen of those. They're not cheap. They're a little bit cheaper than the MB traps, which are, like I said, they're almost identical. I will be getting some of those MB traps too. I've always wanted a set of those. I haven't got them yet, but now I've got those. I will definitely be buying the MBs. That, like I said, that's super, super nice. Price wise, I think I'm working off of memory here, so you can't quote me exactly, but I believe a half dozen of those traps was about $85 without tax. There was about 85 bucks, and that was money well spent. Those are freaking awesome. I can't say enough. I was super pleased when I seen those. Okay, now onto the Mink equipment. With the Mink Kit, we got a set of 18-inch leather or rubber gloves. Like I said, the texture on the outside are super grippy. They're not gloves that when they get wet they're going to get slick and then you can't handle the traps and stuff like that. These are super nice, especially for me when my mink season is open. It's freezing and the water is freezing, so you can see the glove goes clear up to my elbow, which is more than enough for me to mess with traps in the water. And if you look at my muskrat trapping videos from last season, there was more than one occasion where I forgot my gloves and my hands were frozen by the end by pulling traps or checking traps or taking rats out of the traps. Fingers were numb, couldn't feel them. So that is a really good investment for me. Those are going to be very useful for mink and muskrat. Now for the Mink Kit, a lot of these traps you could use for muskrat as well. Of course, both animals live in the water. They live in the same type of environment. They're travel in the same areas. There was two traps here that I got with that kit that I hadn't owned before, which I find pretty interesting too. So I'm glad I got that kit. But yeah, you can cross over this stuff and use it for muskrat as well. Some of the bigger traps actually for the mink would also catch coon. That's a definite possibility as well. So with the mink set, we're going to start with the gloves. We also got another trowel, a little bigger one this time, for digging pocket sets, or digging holes in the bank, making little shelves for pocket sets. This is perfect. You can actually use this trowel two ways. You can dig a pocket if you want, or if you want to modify the bank and put a little shelf in, it's big enough to do that. It's nice and heavy. It's good heavy steel. What a lot of guys will do as well is they'll use the opposite end of the trowel and actually just push a hole into the bank over the pocket instead of digging a big pocket. Especially for mink, You can use the end of the trowel as a soft banking, push the trowel into the hole, and it makes it like a 1-inch diameter hole, and it will hold like a pill box or a film canister. You can put lure in it or bait in it. A lot of times with mink, you just need lure. Sometimes with a pocket set, you would want bait that you could put lure or oil outside that hole, and then just water it with the water, and it will wash the lure and the oil into the water, and they'll follow that scent. You want them to work the pocket a little better than, you know, have a piece of fish or a piece of a frog or a crawdad or something in the hole there for them to make them work it. That's going to work too. But you can see the difference from the other trowel here. You see the difference in the width and the head. Both of these are really nice, stout, well made, very useful for the trap line. So yeah, you could use this for predator trapping too. Trap bed, digging a bed for a trap, or digging a dirt hole, a big eye appeal dirt hole, or like I said, for water trapping is really good too for modifying the bank. If you're going to make pocket sets, or you're digging a pocket into the bank, into a stream bank, that's going to be great for that. Now the Mink Kit came with some conibear traps. These were the traps I didn't have. This is actually a 155 size conibear trap. As you can see, it's a double spring on each side. The size of this trap it's just a little bit bigger than a 110 or a 120, which would be a double spring, but it's a little bit smaller than a 160. So it's kind of a niche trap. It fits that little, that little gap in between. You can, of course, it has regular little spring triggers on it. If I hold it against the wall, you can see. So it has regular spring triggers on it, or like wire triggers. You can modify this and actually put a pan on it. Sometimes mink won't push past something like that, especially if they've been bumped a trap before. They can be pretty wise. But you can actually modify these, that you bend the trigger out of the way and then you put a pan on it, so it looks more open when he goes through it, like that. But when he steps through it, and the trigger is actually sitting flat like this, and he'll step on the pan on the opposite side, and then the trap will get him that way. But yeah, this is a 155. So there was two, and like I said, I do not own one of those traps. So that kit came with two. Now that's big enough too that for a coon to put its head in it. If you have this set up in the water, that will kill a coon as well. So it came with two of those. It came with 4 Magnum 110s. So this is a single spring. Now 120 would look more like that 155. A 120 would have a spring on each side. But this is pretty much my bread and butter muskrat trap. I trap rats with these all the time. Predominantly I set the sets underwater. Although I'm working this year on like I said, if you looked at some of my other videos, I have mink box and maybe a float. I'm going to try and build a float. But yeah, this is a heavy spring 110, a Magnum 110. Single spring, so you can fit it. It doesn't have a spring on the other side, so you can fit it nicely in channels. Super effective trap. I have caught mink in these before too, and they are very, very lethal, especially with the heavier spring. So there's 1, 2, 3, there's 4 of those in that kit. So we got 4 110 Magnums, we got 2 155s. And this another bread and butter trap here for water trappers, guys that are trapping muskrat or mink. It will hold a coon too, especially if you have it on a drowning rig. This will get a coon every time. This is a number 1 Duke coil spring, real small little trap, perfect for mink, for pocket sets, for blind sets, for blind trail sets, setting them along bridge abutments. If you're digging pockets, good for that. You just have them set under the water. You can use them with a hags bracket on a pole, and that's going to be another video in the future. I've already had those on order. They're going to be coming. Hags bracket is an attachment that goes onto a fiberglass pole. You can put them on drain tiles. You can put them on logs that come up out of the water. There's lots of different uses for them. But it mounts the trap in the little spring, so you can have the trap mounted on a pole and have bait on it. It's super nice setup. But yeah, for a pocket set, perfect. For a blind trail set for mink, these are perfect. As you can see, the diameter is pretty small, especially compared to my giant 550. See the difference in size? These are really small. They'll fit right under drain tiles. They'll fit in culverts or anything like that where you want to set for mink. It's heavy enough to drown a mink, especially all the dew traps too. They come with drowning locks. You can see the hole in the wire there. You can put wire through this, set up a drowner, and then once the mink goes down the wire, he ain't coming back up the wire. So yeah, there's 3 of these with that kit. Here's another one. And one more for 3. So we have 3 Duke number 1s. Some guys will use 1.5s too, but this kit came with number 1s, came with 4 110s, came with 2 155s. It also came with 14 gauge wire, a good bundle of wire. Wire is always important for water trapping, use that a lot. You can use it for anchoring traps, you can use it for setting up drowners. It's very useful. It is very useful. You always need wire, always. Just like setting up snares where you need wire for setting up snares or setting up cable restraints, we'd use that too. Last but not least, with the Mink Kit, we had Carmen's Mink Gland Lure for that one. We had Harbaker's Mink Lure number 1. And then we had Epler Fur Company Mink Express Gland Lure. So Epler does make their own lure. And we're going to be trying all of those this season. It also came with a bottle of crawfish oil. This will also really good for mink or coon. They will also seek out that. If you, like I said, especially with oil on the water, the oil tends to slick. You know, if you use oily catfish bait or catfish lure, as soon as it hits the water, it slicks along that water, and especially in like creeks. And a lot of times the animals will smell that on the water. They're constantly in and out of the water, especially the mink. Coon too, if he's checking the bank for food, he'll smell that oil and he'll follow it right to that source. And hopefully your trap is going to be waiting at the end of it. But that's super nice. Also with that kit, there was also a bag of dye and another bar of wax. I think that was it for the Mink Kit. Here's an item I forgot for the Fox Kit. A sifter for the Fox Kit for making your dirt holes and bedding your traps. It came with a galvanized sifter. Super useful, super useful. I also got a packet of trap tags with each kit, so you can label all your traps by, I don't know any state that doesn't require you to label your traps with an identification tag. So you always got to tag your traps. As you can see, all the traps that I had here, I have my copper tags on them. These tags are really nice. I get them printed. I get them from the snare shop, and it has my name and address, or you can get a number issued from the Game Commission that you can put on those tags. All your traps has to be identified. But that was it for the 2 kits then. Like you've seen, that's like super comprehensive. There's everything in those kits that you need to start trapping. All you need to buy other than that is your fur taker's license. That's pretty much it. Then with these kits, you have everything you need to start right away. So he does have other kits. He has kits for beaver. He has kits for bobcat. He has kits for coyote. Like I said, I get the animals that are predominant in my area, mink and muskrat, and the fox. I'm starting to see more coyotes now too, so sooner or later I'm going to connect with a coyote. I already know that. That's why I got those bigger traps. I'm going to set those this season. It's never a given that I catch fox pretty regularly, but I've never trapped a coyote in the areas that I trap. They are becoming more prevalent though, so if I do get one, I don't want to risk losing it. So I'm going to start using those MBs. Like I said, I'm starting to see the coyotes progressively more and more, so that's a good thing for me. I'd really like to start seeing bobcats. I've never seen a bobcat. I've never caught a bobcat on trail camera yet. I'm hoping that they do improve in my region soon. There's areas that I can go further north and northwest of here that do contain bobcat. That's something I'd look forward to doing too. But as you can see from these kits, they're for the money. Both of those kits were both under $100. So for that, that's a minimal investment as far as I'm concerned for any sort of entry level kit. That's a really good price. Like I said, you get everything you need to start trapping right away. So for somebody who's new or who's just starting out or wants to give it a try, you're not dumping a lot of money. You're not dumping a lot of money. You can give it a try and go from there. And trust me, when you do try it and you catch something, you're hooked for life. It's just like fishing. You're hooked for life. So I hope you liked the information that I gave you. Give Matt Brophy at Epler Fur a try. He's a good guy. He's very passionate about trapping. I know he has a Facebook page. I think he does Scoop Trappers. So you can check him up on Facebook. I'd also like to thank Jakey again, Jakey Crack Outdoors. You can check his channel out on YouTube for having that giveaway. Jakey's a good guy. He's a pretty hard-headed trapper to trap every day of the season. That was pretty cool. I enjoyed that. So I'd like to thank both of those guys. And I'd like to thank you all for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Like I said, I have some Hags equipment coming. And I'll show you the setup for those when I get that equipment in. And that'll be on another video. So see you on the next one.